Ever heard of the July 20th plot? It's one of the most audacious, high-stakes assassination attempts in history, aimed at none other than Adolf Hitler himself. Today, we're diving deep into the 2008 historical thriller, Valkyrie, which brings this incredible true story to life with heart-pounding tension. The film stars Tom Cruise as Colonel Claus von Stauffenberg, a disillusioned German army officer who's seen the horrors of the Nazi regime firsthand. We first meet him in Tunisia in 1943, where he's severely injured in an air raid, losing his left eye, his right hand, and 2 fingers on his left. This personal tragedy only strengthens his resolve. Hitler must be stopped, not just to end the war, but to save Germany from its own leader. Recuperating in Germany, Stauffenberg is recruited into the German resistance, a secret network of high-ranking military officers and politicians who share his conviction. This group includes figures like General Friedrich Olbricht, played by the brilliant Bill Nighy, and the retired but influential General Ludwig Beck. They've tried to eliminate Hitler before, but every attempt has failed. They see in the charismatic and determined Stauffenberg a new hope, a man with the courage and position to make a real difference. Their plan is codenamed Operation Valkyrie. Originally, Valkyrie was an emergency plan created by Hitler's own government, designed to deploy the reserve army to maintain order in case of a national crisis, like a breakdown in communication with the leadership. The conspirators' genius is to hijack this very plan. Their idea is to assassinate Hitler, then immediately activate Operation Valkyrie, claiming a rogue SS faction has killed the Führer and is attempting a coup. They would then use the reserve army to seize control of Berlin, arrest key Nazi officials, and install a new government to negotiate peace with the Allies. It's a bold, brilliant, and incredibly risky strategy. The entire plan hinges on one critical moment: the death of Adolf Hitler. Stauffenberg, now serving as chief of staff to the reserve army, gains direct access to Hitler's military briefings. This gives him the perfect opportunity to plant a bomb. The tension ramps up as he makes his first attempt. He carries a briefcase with a bomb into Hitler's Wolf's Lair headquarters in East Prussia. But the plan is aborted because Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS and the primary target, isn't present. The conspirators believe that for the coup to succeed, both Hitler and Himmler must be eliminated. This highlights the immense pressure and internal debates within the resistance. Some, like General Olbricht, are cautious, constantly weighing the risks. Stauffenberg, however, becomes increasingly adamant that they must act with or without Himmler. He argues that the moral imperative to stop the regime outweighs the tactical risks. Any opportunity to kill Hitler is an opportunity they must take. Finally, on July 20th, 1944, Stauffenberg gets another chance. He flies back to the Wolf's Lair for a conference. This is where the film's suspense reaches its peak. Every moment is fraught with danger. He has to excuse himself to arm the bomb, a difficult task with his injuries, using a special pair of pliers. He only manages to arm one of the 2 explosive bricks he brought, cutting the bomb's potential power in half. Then, another unforeseen change. The meeting is moved from a reinforced underground bunker to an open-windowed conference hut due to the hot weather. This will significantly lessen the blast's impact. Stauffenberg enters the room, places the briefcase with the armed bomb under the heavy oak conference table, as close to Hitler as possible, and then makes an excuse to leave for a phone call. The moments tick by. He gets clear of the building, and then a massive explosion rips through the hut. Stauffenberg sees the building erupt in fire and smoke. Believing Hitler is dead, he and his aide bluff their way through checkpoints and race to the airfield to fly back to Berlin to initiate the second phase of the plan: the coup. Back in Berlin, the hours that follow are a masterclass in confusion, paranoia, and fleeting hope. Stauffenberg lands and rushes to the Bendler block, the military headquarters, only to find that his co-conspirators, led by the hesitant General Olbricht, have not yet initiated Operation Valkyrie. They were waiting for absolute confirmation of Hitler's death, but communication from the Wolf's Lair was cut off. Stauffenberg's arrival finally galvanizes them into action. They issue the Valkyrie orders. For a few tense hours, it seems like the plan might actually work. The reserve army begins to mobilize, securing key government buildings and arresting Nazi officials in Berlin. There's a palpable sense of triumph, a belief that they have finally turned the tide of history. The scenes in the Bendler block are a whirlwind of frantic phone calls, shouted orders, and the desperate hope that their gamble has paid off. But then, the crushing news starts to trickle in. Hitler survived. The heavy oak table shielded him from the blast, and the open windows dissipated its force. He was injured, but very much alive. A key officer in the Wolf's lair, loyal to Hitler, begins countermanding the Valkyrie orders. The coup starts to unravel as quickly as it began. Major Otto Ernst Riemer, commander of the Reserve Army's main battalion in Berlin, is initially following the conspirators' orders to arrest propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels. But Goebbels cleverly puts Riemer on the phone directly with Hitler. Hearing the Führer's voice, Riemer immediately realizes he's been part of a coup against the leader he swore an oath to. He switches his allegiance and the tide turns decisively against the resistance. The troops who are seizing Berlin are now ordered to surround the Bendler block and arrest the conspirators. A chaotic firefight erupts within the headquarters as loyalties fracture. The conspirators are quickly overwhelmed. In the film's tragic and powerful climax, Stauffenberg, Ulbricht, and other key leaders are rounded up. In a hurried court-martial that same night, they are sentenced to death. General Fromm, their superior who knew of the plot but stayed on the fence, betrays them in a desperate attempt to save himself by appearing loyal. Stauffenberg and his comrades are taken to the courtyard of the Bendler block and executed by firing squad. In his final moments, Stauffenberg shouts, "Long live sacred Germany." The film ends by showing the brutal aftermath. The Nazi regime exacted a terrible revenge, executing thousands connected to the plot. But it also honors the bravery of those who dared to stand up. Valkyrie is a gripping, intense look at the courage it takes to defy tyranny, even when the odds are insurmountably stacked against you. It's a story of what could have been and a powerful reminder of the men who risked everything for a better world. It's a fascinating and often overlooked chapter of World War II history, and the film does a fantastic job of building the suspense, even when you know how it ends. What did you think of the movie? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this summary, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into great films. See you next time.